guys, and welcome back to my home. Today I'm going to be taking you through my garden tour, and we are in garden zone 6. So it is July 3rd, so it has been very hot here in Michigan, and the garden, as you can see, is really starting to grow and fill out. And so I'm going to take you along and see how everything's doing. So I'm going to start you over in this bed. We have a total of 3 garden beds. We do live in like a typical neighborhood, so our space is limited, and I have really been liking the raised garden beds. It really keeps like animals such as bunnies, and thankfully we have a fence and we live in a neighborhood, so we don't really have a lot of trouble with deer at all. But we do have a lot of bunnies and squirrels and things like that, and they don't really bother the beds at all. So I definitely recommend. We get ours from Home Depot, and they're just like this metal material. They're fairly affordable, I would say. They're not too crazy, and it's not anything that you have to like, you know, build with wood like some other beds. So in this first bed, we have zucchini in this half. They are doing pretty well. We have several little zucchinis starting. And so I would say within the next week we'll probably be harvesting at least like 5 different zucchinis, which is very exciting. So we have a total of 4 zucchini plants in this half of the bed. And I definitely say I overcrowded a lot of my stuff because I have the dream of being a big gardener without the space. And so that's what you get. I will say that last year was my first year gardening. I had no idea what I was doing, and I planted so many random things in just one garden bed. And I planted a ton of zucchini seeds, and they did really well. So I think that as much as people want to like put a science to it and you have to space things so many feet apart, things like to grow because they were created to grow. So we have 4 in this side of the bed. On this half, I have spaghetti squash, and I have never grown this before, and I fear that I have made a mistake because they are getting very viney. I wondered if they would be kind of like a watermelon and like vine out like that, but because they're squash, I thought that maybe they would just be like a zucchini plant, and I didn't really research it. So the vines are taking over. As you can see, there's a vine all the way at the other end. This is the zucchini side, and it's grown all the way from over there to here. So I'm not really sure what the plan is gonna be. I may like drape them over the edge and let them grow on the ground, but then they may break, so I don't really know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But we also have 4 spaghetti squash plants. And, I think this is one. I think that's the start of one right there. I didn't know what to be looking for because this is very viney, but then at the base of the plant, there's like also all of these flowers. So I wasn't sure what to look for, but I think that's what I'm supposed to be looking for. That's really exciting. Yay. Alright, moving on to this half. This is all of our Roma tomatoes. So we do have 7 Roma tomatoes on this half of the bed, and then I planted 1 over there last minute, which is way smaller. And they're very full. They're very bushy. And I did prune them like 2 weeks ago probably. I didn't prune them nearly as much as I should have, and now it's like kind of feels like it's too late. I may try to go in and thin them out a little bit more, but as you can see, we have lots of tomatoes starting to grow. I just feel like the problem is I won't be able to find the tomatoes. So you can see that there's bunches right there, and a good amount right there. So it'll just be like an Easter egg hunt. But last year was also my first year canning salsa. We absolutely loved the homemade canned salsa, and we made like 20 some jars, and it only lasted us like 5 months, so we go through a lot of salsa. And so last year we only had 3 Roma tomato plants, and so I knew that just with salsa alone I would need to like double that. And then of course we want to do other things. So we have 8 total plants. We'll see how much that gets me. And we already know that we want to expand the garden again next year because this is just not enough space. And then if you come down here, you'll see that I have some marigold plants. I also have it mirrored on the other side, but you can't see it because it's so full. And then I did plant some extra lettuce seeds in here because I knew that we were about to harvest all of the lettuce that we started with, and I wanted just to have more lettuce. So that's growing in there, but I think it's kind of being taken over by the tomato plants. Alright, this is our row of green beans. This is our first year doing green beans, and I'm pretty impressed so far. They seem very easy to take care of. This is not looking too great, but the whole plant itself is totally fine. So if you look in here, we already harvested a bunch of green beans, and there's already so many more, and each plant is just like full. And that's the beautiful thing about green beans, is that you pick them all, come back in a couple weeks, there's gonna be more, and pick them all, and you just keep having green beans, which is really fun. Here's some more marigolds, and we've got weeds growing up in between there. And if you didn't know, marigolds are really good for deterring pests. I guess they emit some sort of scent that the pests don't like. And I will say I have had 0 pests at all in my garden bed this year. Last year I did. I had like those little white moths that eat your plants. I don't know what they're called, but it's the little white moths, and I haven't had any problems at all this year. So they must be doing their job. Here's our little tomato plant that I started last minute. There are some flowers on there, which is fun. And then these are our onions, and again, this is a first year thing for me, and so I think I already messed them up because there are some planted too close together. We had some die off, which was unfortunate, but this is definitely something I want to do again next year, and I already feel way more equipped and like I have way more knowledge to do it better next year. So I'm just excited to see how these ones turn out, and then next year I'll really go ham with it. So, but the ones that I do have seem to be very healthy. They're very like thick and growing, and I've been researching like how to know when to pull them up and curing them and all that stuff. So that'll be a fun process to go through. And this one is our last garden bed. This is mostly different varieties of peppers, and there's a mix between ones that I started from seed and ones that I got from a nursery, and you'll be able to tell the difference. So I didn't use any sort of grow lights or fertilizer or anything like that. We do have a sunroom, which gets nice and toasty when the sun is out, and so I kind of wanted to just try and see if that would be enough to sustain them, and it definitely sustained them, but they definitely got stunted in growth because they didn't have the consistent heat, and I probably could have fertilized them. Again, this is all a learning experience for me, and so I think I will try it again next year with fertilizing to see if that helps keep them from being stunted, and then I'll just really try to watch like the temperature in the sunroom, because it wasn't always hot because we are in a northern state, and so it does get cold obviously. So these 2 rows here are bell peppers. Obviously this row that's doing really well is from the nursery. This row here is the one that I started, and that's why they are way behind. I will be happy if we get any sort of fruit on them, even if it's just 1 pepper. But that's why I got these guys from the nursery that I could count on a little bit more. And as you can see, we already have one that is a pretty good size, so I'll be able to harvest that one pretty soon. And we've got all kinds, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Look at, there's 4 right there. I might want to get rid of 1 or 2, unfortunately. That's the really hard part, is pruning, because you never want to like kill your plant or kill off a piece of fruit, but it will inhibit the growth of the other ones. So you kind of just have to do it and not think about it. But like here's another one. That's doing pretty well. Here's another good size one down here. And these ones should turn red. I like the red and the orange colored ones over the green personally. And I honestly forgot there's another row of bell peppers as well, and I started those ones from seed. This row right here is our banana peppers. This is another first year thing for us, and I really want to can these when the time comes. And we already have some that I probably could pick. You'll know when these are ready to pick if you can see the color difference. So this one right here that's a lot smaller, you'll see is more of like a vibrant green, as opposed to this one that has turned into like a pale yellow. That's what you want. So I probably could pick this one. If you leave these on the vine, they will start to turn red, which is okay. That's not really what you want if you want that typical like pickled banana pepper in a jar, because it'll lose its crunchiness, it won't be crisp anymore. So you want to pick them when they're pale yellow. Alright, this row right here, I accidentally picked one of the plants when I was weeding, back when those plants were like an inch tall. So we're missing one right there, but that's okay, it's kind of funny honestly. But these are all our jalapenos, and then one is right here. I've already harvested 2 jalapenos, and there are several that are right about there as well. And then this next, like 2 half rows, is our cayenne chili peppers. I've never grown these before, and I'm very excited about it. They're doing very well. But to be honest, they're not what I expected. These are way bigger than what I thought, and I'm waiting for them to turn red before I pick them. And so I would imagine that when they turn red, they will get smaller. That's kind of typically what happens, like same with the banana peppers. When the banana pepper turns red, it does like shrink in size, and that's why it loses its like crispiness. And so I'm hoping that that's what happens with this, because I was expecting like the really small, like slender and long cayenne chili pepper. Because what I want to do is make our own red pepper flakes, like dry them out, blend them up, and have our own red pepper flakes. So we'll see how that turns out. It's just not what I expected, but they're doing very well. And then we have 2 more marigold plants, and these have just expanded like crazy. Like that one has probably doubled in size, which is just really fun to see that things are doing well. And then right here we have 3 different strawberry plants, and they are pretty much done for the season. Strawberries are kind of sad, honestly. They don't produce that much. I think we got probably about 15 strawberries total, and they're done. So, but if I take care of these and insulate them, they should come back next year, just as long as they don't totally freeze over the winter. So this is our garden, and next year the plan is to get at least 1 more bed, if not more. Thankfully my husband is as gung-ho about this as I am, so I don't really have to convince him to get more. We'd like to put another one right here just to finish out this quad, and then potentially, because we do get really great sunlight in our backyard, maybe even like expand it this direction and do more. I don't know. That would make our entire backyard garden bed, but that's okay with me. So that is it for our vegetable garden, but I do want to show you our flowers that we planted. So on this half of our sunroom, I planted zinnias and cosmos. Last year I just did zinnias, and they did super well. I constantly had bouquets of flowers for myself, and I gave them to some family members, and it was just really fun to come out every morning and like there'd be new buds. I'm kind of sad about it this year. The zinnias are looking horrible. The beetles have just gotten to them really badly. Thankfully the blooms still look healthy, and like they will make it, but it's just really sad to see And every time I come out here, there aren't any beetles on them, but they've definitely been here. And unfortunately, I planted double the amount of zinnia seeds that I did last year, and like none of them took. There's probably like 10 zinnias here, and I planted 2 packs of seeds. So that is a little bit defeating because I just know that I won't have as many flowers this year, and it's kind of too late to like start anymore. But then I did do cosmos this year, which is new for me, and I'm very excited. They seem to be doing super well, and we have our very first bud, so we'll have a flower coming soon. But they just seem very happy, and they seem pretty pest resistant. Like, I haven't noticed anything that has been bothering those, so that's exciting. So that is my 2025 garden tour for the month of July. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in my garden and checking it out. If you are interested in more homemaking and gardening content like I am, then please like this video and subscribe, stick around, and I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye!